If you're constantly tired or feeling worn out or just struggling to finish what you start, the issue might not be your goals. I mean, hey, your body, your mind, they need daily habits that recharge your energy. I mean, when you keep your energy high, your productivity, your motivation. I know I talk about the motivation stuff on this podcast a lot, but that motivation, that internal drive, it just it makes reaching your goals so much easier because energy is about habits. I know I talk a lot about energy on this podcast, and because a lot of us, we go about life like, I mean, we wear this busy badge, right? And when you think about it, if you can just dial that in and just go with, let's say, the most important habit is practicing to, controlling your morning pace. Do you have a busy morning? Are you in a scramble in the morning? I can remember when I was a teacher. It would be like I would hit the snooze button a few times, and then it became this scramble where things just didn't seem to be accessible. In my mind, I thought I had time. And because of the situation, because I didn't have my, morning practice of any sort, I was in morning reaction mode, right? Rushing around, and that type of stuff. I don't know if you can relate to that, but it can really drain your energy quickly, can give you a little bit of frustration, and then you start blaming other things. And then the traffic, it just seems like you attract more of that. I'll put it in the category of drama. Doesn't necessarily have to be drama. But if you can make mornings predictable and calm, that's one thing I started doing. I started getting up earlier to have that moment for myself in the mornings, to be able to just have control. So even if you're waking up just a few minutes earlier, taking a slow, quiet start by just planning a few things that you'll do, everything. These are going to sound crazy simple, but doing these things where it's daily water. I like to get in my exercise in the morning, but if you don't have that chunk of time, even just gentle stretching, having a quiet breakfast, don't skip breakfast, right? But having a quiet breakfast without multitasking, you're going to notice that you feel calmer. You're going to notice your day feels focused and ready to get going without I don't want to say without any stress, but it minimizes the stress. And what I recommend is some of the things I'm going to share with you in this podcast. Do these for the next 30 days. Commit to it. And they're crazy simple, but just notice how doing these things makes things a little bit more ease and flow, as opposed to slapping on that busy badge, creating the drama, and just starting the day in such a reactive mode. So, and before we get into all this stuff, I just do want to direct you over to talktoperry.com, especially if you want to get your energy right. My calendar is wide open for podcast listeners and podcast viewers. I'm going to drop that down in the lower third here. If you don't know what the lower third is, if you're watching on the video, you know, because I'm pointing to it right now, because it's all about keeping your energy high and reaching all of your goals. Talktoperry.com. So let's talk about being intentional. With even looking at your day, and I talked about the morning there, but being intentional by taking breaks during the day. Many people work nonstop, thinking that more work needs to be done, and the opposite's true. You already know that when you get caught up, your inbox seems to fill itself again and again and again. It always seems like the work is never ending, right? So just taking care of yourself, putting yourself first, taking short breaks, even if they're just 5 to 10 minutes. I can hear you already. I don't have 5 to 10 minutes, but you can do some things just to give your mind a little bit of a rest. During the breaks, you're stepping away from your workspace. You're doing some breathing exercises. I've talked about a couple ways to do breathing on this podcast: box breathing, 4-7-8 breathing. It could even be just a short walk. It could be down the hallway, or maybe it's around the block. I know my sister gets out during her lunch break, walks around her work. Or it could just be stretching again, movement, it just tells your brain, hey, it's time to refresh. And when you do return, you feel you and you'll notice this after doing this for about 30 days, you'll feel mentally clearer, and that leads to less likely to procrastinate things. Now, another health habit that I think was really, really good, and these are things I've added on over the years. Um, I I just know that energy is a big thing, but it's taking a look and making just a really short priority list every morning, or you could do it even before bedtime, of what are the things, what are the essential things you want to accomplish the next day. Now, I know a lot of times people will make a big, huge list. I find myself doing that. But if you just wrote down what are 2 or 3 main priorities and you got those done, just like Brian Tracy in his book, Eat That Frog, do the big things first, the things that you typically avoid, the things you typically put off until you have more time. I just did many air quotes there. But getting your biggest tasks done, it creates confidence. It helps you reduce negative self-talk about productivity and things like that. And maybe this is just me, but crossing things off of your list, it just feels good. Have you ever done this before where you did something and you know you did it and it wasn't on your list, but you'll write it on your list just so you can cross it off? It's that feeling, right? And it just boosts your confidence and helps you keep going. Speaking of confidence, let's recharge. Head over to talktoperry.com. So many people go about their life, and this might be you. I know it was me for a long time. We go about our lives like we are 5-year-old smartphones with 2% battery life, no charger in sight. And hey, what would your life look like and feel like if that battery, instead of being at 2%, was 100%, right? You're kind of in a scramble when it's down low. So head over to there, and I want to help you recharge. I want to help you energize that and recharge that mental and physical battery of yours so you can reclaim your power. I'll give you my Power 5 strategy. So, hey, you tell me what your goals are. I'll help you recharge your energy so that you can achieve every one of them. TalkToPerry.com. Now, my final idea here is to limit activities that drain your energy. Now, you may not be aware of these because you just do them habitually, but if you really start to pay attention, like when you're scrolling so much through social media, watching negative news, engaging in just low energy conversations that can exhaust you, when you start becoming aware of those, you've got the option that you could pivot because they use more energy than you think. So cutting back on those, and you could do this gracefully and stuff like that. Hillary and I, we kind of limit we used to turn on the news right away in the morning. We catch up, cute, anchors on the newscast. But when we noticed our energy was drained, we felt a little stressed and anxious throughout the day. And we're like, why is that? Well, we were getting not catapulted. We were just being compressed with negative news that we didn't even realize was doing that to us. So we turned it off. We're very selective of when we turn on that TV and what we want to watch here. So even if you cut back on things slightly, and like I said, try these out for the next 30 days, it's going to help. You'll probably notice that it's going to preserve your focus and improve your mood. Replacing the scrolling activities with things like, reading, listening to an audio book, listening to a great podcast, right? Watching podcasts, just positive content, or even just resting quietly. I feel like I'm coaching myself here. Making those small habit changes, it can really make an impact on your energy. And with great energy, stable energy, you finish tasks faster, you procrastinate less, you finally feel confident about your progress. And you can apply this. It will impact a lot of different areas of your life. So you have this power to make your daily routine easier, lighter, more enjoyable. And it starts with protecting your energy first. So just know you can choose to use your power, take control, and use some of these strategies. Test this out for the next 30 days. Or You can let the excuses, procrastination, rationalizing and reasoning with yourself, telling yourself you're busy, you can let that control you and drain your power. It really boils down to deciding and committing to yourself and your goals and choosing to figure out new ways, looking at possibilities, learning and growing, and keep moving forward. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. Drop those down in the comments. I promise I'll engage and reply with you. I usually get on that pretty quickly. And as always, remember, it's never too late. See you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear, what's going on. I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day, I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to upsidedownfit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find the show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.